Well, there's old Roy. I just had a great encounter with Roy, walking with him in this beautiful park. And I gave him a Steps to Christ. And he's like, usually nobody walks with me. And he said, I haven't been to this park for a whole month. And today was the day. Today was the day that the Lord had an encounter. And I'll tell you what. This is what's awesome about Roy. He was telling me about how he was married. Well, he said, oh no, hang on, he wasn't married, but he was with his other half for 34 years, and then she died after taking care of him when he had a heart attack. He said she just gave her everything. And I said, but you really were married after 34 years? And I said, how much, she loved you so much to sacrifice. And that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. And then he said, well, when she died, I've got her grandkids. And he says, they're just like my own. I said, well, do you see that relationship, the fruit of that you also now have these grandkids that, really are part of her? And he's like, yeah. So when we were coming down here, I was talking, he was telling me how he used to weigh like 300 pounds. This is incredible. He used to weigh like 300 pounds. I'm like, he said it was her, my girlfriend, that got me eating healthy. He says, you know those buffets? I said, oh yeah. He said, man, we used to stop at those buffets, and then she's like, we got to stop. And it was her that taught me how to eat well. And he said, I was 300 pounds. And he said, and she said, you have to treat your body good. You have to treat it like it's like a temple. And he's like, well, what's the deal with that? He didn't understand it, but now he's 75 years old, and he's doing good. And and actually he has the health message. He has part, because he understands the connection. He said, I think I had some type of tumor in my kidney. I don't know if it was cancer or what it was, but they had to cut a lot of it out. But he says, I'm still here. He said, I go to the clinic every year. He says, I'm always fine. So I started telling him about, my journey and how I was a nurse. And, I said, I'm sorry to say this, but chemo doesn't heal anybody. And I said, I could never go back to conventional nursing. And he said, I've had people in my family with breast cancer. They've died. And I said, that's horrific, because there is an answer. There is an answer, but we can't talk about the answer. And then I just started talking about Jesus and the relationship. He said he used to go to church, and he said, and this is how I got to church, like this. He said, you were there pulling my ear. And he said, yeah, and you could just tell by how he was talking. I said, here's the problem with church. Church doesn't save anybody. Oops, really? No, it's our relationship with Jesus Christ. It's our relationship with Jesus Christ that saves us. And I said, it's really sad, because we look at the Pharisees, and the Pharisees had Jesus Christ standing in front of them, and yet they couldn't see him because they were so blinded by their own pride, but also their own doctrines and their laws and their ceremonies and all the religious stuff. And I said, the Ten Commandments, nobody can reach that standard, and that's why Jesus came to die, to actually become the law. He is the law, and so we still have to obviously live by the law, but he died for us to cover our sins, because there's no way that we could reach that standard. So that he covers that, and boy, was he listening to that. And then I said, can I tell you something? I gave our Steps to Christ, and I said, this is a book that it's just really beautiful. It'll reconnect you with the Lord. But I said, can I pray with you? I said, this is what I do, Roy. I pray with people. And he's like, I think I'm good. I said, Roy, this is what I do. I can pray for you. He's like, okay. And he wanted that prayer. And so I grabbed his, he held out his hand, and we prayed together, and we stood and talked for maybe another 15 minutes, and then there he went on his way. And we had a really good conversation. It was wonderful. So I'm at Flat Rock Park. I came here after church. I had a great encounter at this Sunday church with Elaine, and now I've got the encounter with Roy. God is so good. God is so good.